Hi guys, it's been a long time since I've done a Facebook Live and I'm just kind of fiddling with the controls here. Happy Sunday morning to all of you. It is, can't remember what the date is. I think it's the 8th of July. Um, I have been doing a series, if you've been following my YouTube or my posts on Facebook, I've been doing a series on the undefined centers, stress and the undefined centers in the human design chart. And this live share today actually is a result or was inspired from that, because if you've been following it, you know that we're talking about how you may experience stress in your undefined centers. And and you also know, whether you're just following that series or you've been studying your own human design chart for a while, you also probably know that the practice of your strategy and authority really helps you to allay some of the resistance that or it actually helps you to keep from picking up negativity or holding on to negativity and drama from other people. Now, this live share here is really kind of geared toward those of you who identify as empathic, where you know that you're taking in and absorbing the energy of others. And that's actually what that video series is about, is, how you can potentially take in energy from other people, absorb it, and feel stress as a result of it. So it's really good to have that awareness. And then to really, after you get that awareness of how you're affected, then to really work with and align with your strategy and authority, because that alignment is so important to allowing yourself to let go or release the energy that you take in, and then be able to work in a healthy way with the information that you received from other people as you took that energy in. So that's just a little background and preface for why I'm on here today, because I just got really inspired about this whole concept of how we as empaths have to protect ourselves from other people. There's a lot of talk about that when you start to do research on your empathic abilities and how to make the most of them. There's a lot of talk about, we have to protect ourselves. We can't allow other people to affect us energetically. And back in the other century, back in the 20th century, when maybe I know that's when I was waking up to my sensitivities and the way that I work with energy, and maybe a lot of you were waking up at that time too. There was always this blanket instruction about how you don't want to take on anybody else's energy. You don't want to take on especially negative energy. And that's true. You don't want to take it on. You don't want your actions to be governed from that. And then the advice for how to remedy that was to put white light around you. And that's really cool, the concept of how you can call in this energy that is from source or from God or from something that's broader and greater than your humanness, and then you can just sort of cocoon yourself in it. That's really kind of a beautiful concept, except, at least for me, when I put it into practice, it didn't really work. Because what I found is that it sort of cut me off from being able to interact. And the other thing that I discovered is that it sort of conflicts with my own belief systems. And maybe your belief systems are different. Maybe you work with white light and you love it, and more power to you. But this is kind of geared toward those of you who may have heard that advice or tried that advice and it just doesn't seem to work for you. Here's my perspective on it. When I tried to put white light around me, I felt like I was relying on something outside of myself to come and save me or come and protect me. And yes, we are all part of something bigger. Whether you conceptualize that as God or the universe or source or whatever it is, we all are part of that. But somehow for me, it just kind of took my power away. And then of course, it felt like it cut me off from, the people that I'm here to interact with, from the energies that I'm here to interact with. And when I got into human design, I realized that we're here to dance with other people. Our energies are here to meld and to work together and to come together so that we can create and co-create together. So that's why this whole white light concept to me didn't make a lot of sense, or really wasn't as helpful as perhaps something else could be. So that's sort of what has led me down the path of human design, because I know that we have these undefined centers for a reason. We have them so that we can take in energy and become wise about how to use that energy. But if we're somehow protecting ourselves from that energy in a way that doesn't allow it in, then we never really get to experience the full power of and potential of what we have inside of us. And on top of that, for me personally, I feel like because I am part of this bigger whole, because I am a piece of the source, I have that within me to call up at any time. And if I'm relying on something out here to come and save me, I am at the mercy of something out here to come and protect me. And it's the same dynamic of the conditioning that can be experienced in our that we understand through our body graph, right? That if we're constantly looking out there through our open centers for a truth that's actually in here through our definition, that we can experience through our definition, then we're not really living that full empowerment of how we're designed to be. So, all of that is really nice mind candy in theory. And what I really came on today to share with you is just something that I've been practicing. And I want to share it with you. I'd really love for you to put it into practice or try it out and tell me what you think. I'd love to hear your views about, how the white light theory of, protect yourself with white light and how that works for you. And I hate looking at my ceiling, so I'm going to bring this down a little. And so I just want to get into this exercise. I've made some notes here because that's why I keep looking down, because I really have done this on the spur of the moment. Splenic me, the time was right, here I am. So I made some quick notes, and I'm looking at my notes to make sure I don't miss anything that I really wanted to tell you. All right, so here's what I've been doing instead of the whole, call in the white light, protect yourself, because those of you who are empathic and you're taking stuff in, right? And you feel I'm sure you feel, because it's the way it's what we're doing collectively here. There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of drama out there, right? And it can be very strenuous. We can talk as a lot about how to disconnect from all of that. However, when we're looking at or we're experiencing what cannot be seen, the energy that cannot be seen, we can't lock ourselves away in a vault if we're here to be the empowered empaths that we are. We can't lock ourselves away in a closet until the chaos in the world settles down and we've made some sort of a shift in higher consciousness. We can't do that because we're here to be part of that. We're here to dance with other people and to be of service to others through our sense of empathy and through the gifts that we have to offer them. So, but we can't do that if we're constantly bombarded or feeling like we're bombarded and overwhelmed by other people's energies and other people's sense of being out of balance, or their emotions, or whatever it is that you feel very deeply, because that's going to throw us off balance. And I know for me, my primary thing is to really find that balance in every moment in every day that I live. And of course that's done imperfectly. I do that imperfectly, but as I go, I find that my set point for my inner balance actually becomes stronger and more consistent as I discover ways to return to that balance and not be affected by other people's stuff. So here are the two things that I do, and I'm going to walk you through the experience of this because I really want you to try it and feel it and let me know how it works for you. First of all, I've been working with this sense of identifying my energetic boundaries. And if you know anything about the layers of the aura, you know that we have quite a few layers of the aura. This is not the human design concept of aura. That's a little bit different. And they work together, but I'm talking about the human energy field and our spiritual energy field and how they layer out from us. So I identify my personal energetic space that is somewhere in those first 3 layers of the aura. And the first layer is our etheric body, which is kind of the layer that reflects our physical body. So I always tune into that first, and then I kind of see how far out that extends, how far out my awareness of my personal energy space extends, without getting into, what layer is it? Is it the emotional layer, the mental layer? Is it just the etheric layer? I don't get into that. I just want to feel that. And I do this every day. I do it quite a few times every day. I feel that place. I find that boundary all around me, because it's not just here, it's everywhere. That auric layer surrounds our body in the form that our body is, especially those first layers. And I establish that boundary in my imagination, because imagination is really what kind of moves all this energy, And then I fill that space with a sense of well-being. And then I hold that space of well-being, that feeling of well-being in this place where my personal energetic space is. And as I work through this day after day, time after time, I'm working on holding that more and more consistently and more automatically, and strengthening that as I work with this energy of mine. So let's just go through an exercise, or let me just guide you kind of through that, because if at this point If you haven't had a lot of experience with, how to work with your chakras and how to work with your energy field or any of that, this is probably like, huh? What is she talking about? Find your energetic boundary and then fill it with well-being. It's kind of crazy sounding if you don't have any experience with it. So let's just kind of go into that space of relaxation, imagination, because imagination is where we create from. It's the source of our creations. And if you imagine that it's so, especially in the layers of us that haven't yet taken a physical form, there's a lot that you can move and you can change and shift within by just by using imagination. So close your eyes. That's usually the best way to start. Or you can keep soft eyes if you're more comfortable with that. Just release your focus. Also, if you're a little bit logical in your process and this is kind of new to you, just take some attention up to your head and sort of relax what's going on in there. Any kind of questions or judgments or questions about how or can you prove it or all of that stuff. Just take some breaths and just allow yourself to be open to this process. If there's anything that's distracting you in your body, maybe if your shoulders are tight or you've got some muscle tension, just kind of move that out if you feel that it's going to get in the way. Feel your feet on the ground and just feel yourself in your body. Just feel the structure of your body as you're sitting where you're sitting or standing where you're standing. And let that structure that your consciousness lives in, just let that be okay with how it feels right now. And this is where you can kind of bring your mind into the process, because your body kind of believes what your mind tells it. So if you're finding that you're kind of hung up on, well, this isn't feeling quite right, or my body is feeling too heavy, or I wish I didn't have that injury, anything like that, let your mind tell your body, or you can even say it out loud, I'm okay. I am okay. And if that's too confrontational for your ego structure, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way, we all have an ego structure, a sense of ourselves. If that's too confrontational for that aspect of you and you find yourself resisting, I am okay, just say to yourself, it's okay. It's okay, or it's okay now. You can even be more general and tell yourself all is well. All is well. And take a few more deep breaths. Really tuning into that aspect of you that is physical. Don't forget your legs and your feet, your arms and your hands. That whole central part of you from head all the way down through your spine and hips and then into your legs, feet. and then out from your shoulders into your arms and hands. Just become aware of all of you in your physicality. And this is a little backward from how I explained that I do this. So just bear with me. Go into this place in the center of your chest, the heart space. And just allow yourself to relax that space. Remember, you're working with imagination here. And open that space up as far as possible. You can imagine that it's like a bowl, or maybe it's a flower that's opening its petals. And this is where you're going to call in and call up your own sense or a feeling of well-being. Breath really helps here to relax you, to move energy, and to connect your imagination to the energy that you're creating and moving. So breathe into your heart space and imagine what it would feel like if you had a feeling of well-being in here. And fill up that whole space with well-being. It may feel to you like ease, like love, or relaxation. Or any number of things that feels aligned. Any number of things that feel aligned or open to you, or whole. Wholeness is another feeling that you can imagine, or another awareness that you can tap into. And just fill that space up. Then as it fills, imagine that it's overflowing into your entire physical structure, all the way up to your head and down your neck and shoulders and arms and hands and torso, hips, legs, thighs, shins, feet, toes, everything. Organs, blood, lymph, nerves. And now, as you're feeling full of this sense of well-being or wholeness, let that energy expand out into your personal space, into the few inches around you that are your personal space. And that's in front of you, above you, below you, behind you, all the way around, under your arms, the backs of your legs, the soles of your feet, palms of your hands, around each finger. Let well-being fill up that space until you feel the edges of that boundary. This sense of well-being is just for you. It's not anything that you're going to give away, because this is like the source, the source of your well-being. It's your teacup that's full. And you're going to fill up until you can feel that edge of the boundary of your personal energetic space. And when you feel the edge of that boundary, just acknowledge it. I feel you. There you are. This is me. This is me in my well-being. When you have that all filled up, when you feel that sense of your boundary, when you've really acknowledged it, you can kind of open your eyes and come back into your space, into your wherever you are. And just sit there for a moment and see if you can still feel that. Feel that well-being. And if you can't feel it, imagine it. That's the beauty of this, As you imagine it, it is. So, if you don't have a palpable feeling of it, just imagine it. If you're more visual, see it. See it in your mind's eye. Maybe it has a sound to it if you're auditory. If you have that clairolfactant sense where you smell, you might have an aroma to it. And acknowledge that there's a place where your well-being has a boundary around you. And this is a place that can be kind of permeable so that you can sort of feel what's going on out here. But the core of your well-being stays within this boundary where it nourishes you. So, this is something that you can practice over time, every day. Where's that boundary? Let me call up my well-being, my sense of wholeness. Let me bathe myself in it, in my personal space. And as you do that, you may find that personal boundary, that personal energetic space of yours gets stronger and stronger. So that you may be less affected by what's out there. And for me, by doing this, what has really strengthened for me is this sense of this is me and that's out there. And I'm okay in here. So once you kind of get this down, once you kind of work with this for a while, then go out into public and work with it out in public with other people. Go to a public place, or if you have to go to work or something like that, or meet with friends. See if you can hold this energetic boundary of well-being and your personal space while you're in the midst of other people, and see what happens. See what happens to you. Observe any shifts that happen. Observe your energy levels, observe your awareness levels, and observe how it affects other people, because potentially it could. Hi, Judy, it's good to see you. Potentially this boundary of yours, of where you're holding well-being in your space, can have an effect on other people. And let me explain that really quickly. I'm out of my comfort zone here on YouTube or on Facebook Live. I've talked way longer than I would normally talk, so I'm going to explain it really quickly. How this could affect other people is through the process of resonance and entrainment. So how sometimes you're around people and they bring you down. I mean, that's the purpose of having this energetic boundary, because you don't want to be brought down by other people's vibes. They're so-called, as we judge them, negative vibes, because what they're actually emitting is a frequency that is vibrating at a lower level than where we are. And when we go down, we don't feel as good, right? And on the flip side of that, have you ever been around someone who's really, really uplifting? That's a term that we use in our language. That person is uplifting. It brings our frequency up to that level. And that's what entrainment is. And then when the two come together, especially in that uplifting space, there's a resonance between the energies, or there's a resonance among the energies that are entraining together that kind of creates a frequency that is higher and bigger and more powerful than the individual high frequencies. So that's resonance and entrainment in a nutshell. That's not anything that I'm encouraging you at this point to consciously kind of work for. It is something that organizations can work for if they're really aware, and all of that, and couples and partnerships and friendships can work with that. And it's also a healing mechanism. It's a healing tool. It's something I actually picked up from Quantum Touch. So but it's something I want you to just observe. Are you less vulnerable to other people's lower or less lower vibration, lack of well-being, negativity, for lack of a better term? Or are you able to maintain your own energetic space of well-being and wholeness? So I think that's it for now, Judy. Thank you so much for joining me, and anyone else who has joined me. If I missed you, this will be up on my page. If you haven't, or if you didn't know about my series on stress and the undefined energy centers in the human design chart, I'm more or less releasing a video every week. More or less every week. I don't have rhythm and routine in my charts, so sometimes it's a week and a half, sometimes it's a little less, whenever I get inspired and the spleen speaks. So I'm working with that, and love you too. Thank you. And please follow that on YouTube or on Facebook Live. I tend to be over on YouTube a little bit more with that. But I love you guys here on Facebook too. So I'm sharing what I share on, most of what I share on YouTube, on Facebook as well. And this is actually Facebook Live. The YouTube guys don't know about it, so don't tell them yet. And if I'm inspired again, I will do another one of these. So I hope this helps you. Please try it out. Let me know in the comments what your experience is, and together we are going to find our own empowerment, our own energetic boundaries as empaths, and be the powerful beings of service that we have come here to be. So happy Sunday, and hope to see you again real soon.